Hey yo, what's up, mother shaggers?
No, that's good.
Let's talk about this Zona Project X game that's been sitting in my Steam library for quite some time. I've tried playing this game multiple times now, but the developer keeps updating it every other motherfucking day, so it's hard to keep up with all the features he adds. This is a classic shooter, but then he threw in all this Slavic junk. Got a thing for carpets on the walls, anyone? It's like the developer said, let's take the shooter and sprinkle some Eastern European grandma decor on it. Anyway, here's what I really liked about the game. The flipping grass! Every outdoor map is filled with it, making the game feel dense. However, speaking of density, the indoors are often empty, lacking clutter big time. They feel more empty than my Tinder account! As I was making the video, the developer has actually added all the stuff I was asking just a second ago. Motherfucker! Every goddamn time you load up the fucking game, it's a fucking completely different game. With completely different new shit here. What the fuck is this new shit? I mean, it's really good that the developer actually hears me moan telepathically. Fuck's sake, and he fixes this shit. So props to you, my guy. Adding more stuff relevant to the Soviet era would make it into a more believable world. I want to see some environmental storytelling in these abandoned apartments, like a TV covered with a cloth or some babushka's prized cut glassware. That would totally resonate with the whole Soviet Union's sentiment for some. Heck, it might even introduce the game to the whole new market. He added the fucking cigarettes. Motherfucker. The map design looks okay, nothing too crazy. Ain't gonna lie, that looks like the place I lived in about 20 years ago. It really gives you a sense of how things looked in the Eastern Bloc, so I dig the vibe. Anomalies, usually some floating electrical or dookie-like things in the air, look great, especially compared to another critically acclaimed title, Into the Radius. I love Into the Radius, but damn! Those anomalies look ugly! Hey yo, what the fuck is it? A fucking geometry class? And I know ugly, since my Tinder page is one big anomaly! Not as flashy as this game's though! My favorite thing to do in this game is to throw balls at the electric bowling ball anomaly. It can take a while until you hit it, but damn, is it satisfying to see it fly into outer space. It's still going, look! The textures look about as dull as real life in a comic block. Not really a major turnout for me, but it would be nice to see some more detail. The same applies to the gun models and textures. They look as if Pinocchio's master had some leftover wood and quickly chiseled them out. Some of the dullest looking guns in VR. Of course I'm comparing this game to the good ones. I've definitely seen some bigger shit than this. If the gun models could see an improvement, that would be cool. Another graphical anomaly this game has is its monsters. I swear to God, at this stage I think the developer has access to my Tinder page. Just look at some of these goofy ass looking monsters. What's up, Danny DeVito? I didn't know you were rocking in the Soviet Union. But really, some of the monsters look a bit out of place. Like scorpions in the Soviet Union? And what's up with this gimp? I thought gay stuff was a big no-no in those parts. By the looks of it, they were all hiding in swamps. The gay swamps of the Union. Somehow, I think I'm offending both gays and communists at this stage. But hey, no discrimination here. I'm doing it equally. The game controls like a typical VR shooter. The only annoying thing is that you keep your rifles on your shoulder. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Let us keep the rifles on our chests! Why is this such a big issue? It makes no sense to pull the gun out from behind your ear. Let it sit on the chest, goddammit! Also, add the virtual sling. This is something every VR game is missing. You strap whatever rifle you want to use, and it hangs in front of you. That would be so handy for intense fights when you don't have time to put it back behind your ear and can just release it and go for the secondary, knowing that it won't fall anywhere in the grass! The sound in this game is a bit lacking. Guns don't sound punchy. Silenced weapons sound like something from a 90s game. Monsters make goofy noises, which detracts a bit from the immersion. I mean, you have this whole dark radioactive setup and the monsters sound like someone is having a bathroom emergency. Not cool. However, I like the ambient soundtrack and the human enemies have some funny and very fitting voice lines.
Внимание, противник!
Опа, вот они, фраера!
I do not have a grenade.
Вау!
The gameplay is pretty linear, leaving very little room for exploration. There's very little reward, if any, for exploring. Sometimes you'll find something useful like a weapon or a phone with coordinates, but other than that, there's not much to see. It seems that some maps received more love than others when it comes to exploration. Combat feels very easy, even on the hardest difficulty. This mostly has to do with the AI's lack of intelligence. Most of the time, every enemy will just rush the player without employing any tactics. That gimp guy from the swamps might throw a sissy punch at you and run for cover, but that's about it. Some enemies have special attacks that do mental damage. I don't really know how it works, but I would presume they just release a concentrated sound wave of nagging Karen complaints, driving you to insanity. Fighting human enemies isn't much different, as they'll just stand in an open field completely exposed. At least make them crouch somewhere in the bush or behind cover, or have them guard positions in the building using various tactics. I think room clearing would be really interesting in those commie blocks, offering both thrill and anxiety. Other gameplay mechanics like aiding and gun maintenance, I feel don't add anything to the game since it's a linear experience. They just waste your time and aren't fun. Doing dishes is more fun than that. Now the storyline is something I couldn't bother following. When the game hit me with that wall of text, I said to myself, nah, I'm skipping this shit. From what I can gather, the guy you were playing as along with his team were on their way to locate some Project X, possibly the same one used on the Powerpuff Girls, and their asses got smoked. Then the main guy found some new friends who saved him and then betrayed him. Then he got angry, hunted down the guy who betrayed him, and located Project X in some underground base. The end. In conclusion, the game lacks in some areas, so it might not be your type of game. The only other VR game I can compare it to is Into the Radius, which also has a Soviet look, anomalies, and other Soviet shit. The latter has better gameplay elements. For instance, the whole gun maintenance mechanic can seriously affect your progress. Also, exploration is often rewarded if you go out of your way to check. The combat is also trickier depending on the difficulty level you're playing. It can be vital to make necessary preparations before you embark on a journey to the other end of the map. I'd give it a 5 out of 10, but I think I can toss in a couple of points and make it a 7 out of 10 because the developer is super responsive and updates the game regularly. I almost feel bad making some of the jokes because he's super chill and helpful, listens to community suggestions and so on. So please don't be mad. I like your game and wish you nothing but good luck with your future projects. I know he's working on an open world version of the game, so it'll be very interesting to see how it turns out, now that most of the lessons were learned on this one I'm talking about. Hey, but what do you motherfuckers think about the game, huh? Type your ideas in the comments. And hey, like this video, subscribe, and consider sharing it with your grandma or something. See ya!